Hey guys, this is Brad Allen, and welcome to the Outdoor Asylum podcast. We are here in the Cache River studio at the Elite Duck Call shop, here with producer Jake Seifert. But Jake is not going to talk this morning. He's just waving at me from behind the camera. Jake had a little procedure done at the dentist, so he's a little bit incapacitated right now. I'm not sure he could pass a drug test. We may check him a little bit later just to see. Got a really good friend in the studio today, Hunter Madden with Edge Duck Boats. And if you guys are looking for a good duck boat, if you're in the market right now, check them out, edgeduckboats.com, or get in touch with them on social media. Hunter, how's everything going, man?
Man, it's going great. It's busy as can be. With all this, even the COVID corona stuff going on, we thought we might get slowed down with some of our suppliers, which we have to a certain point, but man, we're still rocking and rolling, and probably as busy as we've ever been right now.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, the supply line the chain wasn't broken too bad for you.
No, and we could, we obviously couldn't see it coming, but when we saw some stuff that was starting to choke up and whatnot, we, contacted some of our suppliers and kind of stocked up just in case we did get shut down, but luckily for us, we didn't. Mm-hmm. So, no, we've still got everything rocking and rolling. We've just got more orders than we've ever had, so we're trying to get them out as soon as we can, as fast as we can for our dealers to get them to our customers. And normally we hit, peak time after, 4th of July, August, September, people start getting them in for duck season. So It seems like we're seeing a rush now. And if, they can get them in now, then, it'd be better than crunch time waiting until right before duck season, which a lot of the time is the rush we see. But so hopefully we just kind of stay steady right now and keep pumping them out.
Yeah, so what, you talk about your demand better than ever. That surprises me because, you look at the fear that's in the economy with coronavirus and all the other drama that's been going on in the United States. Right. What do you attribute that to?
From what we've seen, we also make pontoons as well under the parent company, Waco Manufacturing. We have Edge Duck Boats, our Waco John Boats, and then Aloha Pontoons. I guess everything, just people can't get out of the house or couldn't get out of the house during the whole shutdown, regardless, or wherever they were in the country, depending on what their quarantine rules were or whatever. But I guess kids not playing ball, people not being able just to leave the house on the weekends, and they want to start going hitting the lake. I was telling you earlier that one of our big dealers set a record sale in the month of May for boats sold. I think it crushed their previous record for the most boats they've ever sold. But I guess just people wanting to get out of the house more than anything. There's not much else to do. I guess some of the younger sports are starting to ramp back up, but just people wanting to get out of the house, get on the water. Even fishing, water sports, anything. It's been pretty crazy from what we've seen this spring.
Yeah, that's a good point. What else are you going to do? Even sports on TV, just things on TV, everything. It's just
right.
It's just such a different world that we've been in this for the last few months overall. That's crazy. So had Corona to deal with, and then was it last year? The flooding really affected you guys, didn't it? We had the Arkansas River flooded out really badly, and
so you wouldn't think. I don't know if most people know where our location is. We're in Levy, off of I-40, right there, kind of tucked back in there. But there's a little creek bayou that runs right by the shop called Shilcott's Bayou, and it runs literally next to our building, next to our parking lot. Goes underneath I-40 there and runs along Burns Park and then dumps into the river. So when the river started backing up, we were kind of watching it, and Tom, our owner, he knew that when the river hit, it happened almost in the 80s, I think, when the river hit 29, I think at Little Rock, or that may not be right, but somewhere in there. It started to creep in the back corner of the building, the lowest corner towards the creek. And when we saw the projected models were getting up into the 30s, we were like, well, here we go. So we did what we could to prep. We spent about a week prepping, getting everything up off the floor. Everything that we could. But we still had some things like some press brake motors and stuff that there was nothing that you could do anything about. So those were just kind of, it was what it was. Got everything up off the floor. The water did get in the building. We never imagined it would get as high as it did. It got about 24 inches deep in the actual shop itself.
Wow.
And then I know you've been in our office. The actual offices are up a couple flights of steps where, like, my office is. It actually was about 6 to 8 inches deep up there. And I actually got a bunch of LED lights and stuff off the floor in my mind, thinking that it would never happen, but I might as well go ahead and do it. And I'm glad I did, because it got up in there. And I think the water was in the building for about 7 or 8 days, and then another week or two of cleanup. So, we were down for probably about 5 weeks from a production standpoint, and that really kind of puts us behind the 8 ball last year with people getting their ducks or getting their boats for duck season. So we were on a pretty long wait time last year because of that, and we hate using that as an excuse, but I mean, it is what it is. That's all we could do. And then we were afraid here comes round 2 with Corona this year, but luckily for us, it just maybe kind of choked a few of our small suppliers off and kind of backed some things up a little bit, but nothing like it was last year. So I'm not sure if maybe some of those boats that people didn't get last year kind of falling over into this year or what. But like I said, we are just as busy as we can be and happy about it. So
good deal. Kind of ironic to think about a boat company being affected by flooding. I mean, of all things,
it's crazy. I've got video on my phone. We actually pulled my old boat with a surface drive up to the front door, and then we were of the building. It's pretty crazy. So kind of ironic, but
is it? I don't even know if it's stopped raining since. It seems like in Arkansas we've just been. It seems like we've been wet here for so long. It's like it will not quit raining.
It's crazy. This past week, I guess, has been somewhat nice, but yeah, it's like we can't catch a break. It seems like the past 2 or 3 years have just been as wet as they could be, which is crazy. But hopefully, we can get back to some kind of normalcy from the water and the just the world standpoint of the Corona.
Mm-hmm. I know you love to duck hunt. How was your duck season last year?
It was better than the year before. I'll tell you that. I didn't get to go as much. I have a 1-year-old baby girl at the house, so when duck season started this past year, she was about 6 or 7 months old. I believe she was 7 months old, so didn't get to go as much as I wanted to, but it was better than it has been. We hunt a lot of public, and then we leased some fields there north of Humphrey, and I actually got into some geese, probably more than ducks this year. I think we did end up killing more geese than ducks, but it was a good time. Something I get to. There's a big bunch of my buddies and then my brother and my dad, so we all get to do that. It's just easy to sleep in and not have to fight the crowds on pubs to go do stuff like that. So it was better than 2 years ago, but still probably one of my worst ones I've had in a while. But in all relative, it was better than the year before.
Yeah, that's a common report that I'm getting. That it wasn't great, but a little bit better than the year before. And
right.
You're talking about hunting geese. I guess you're chasing specks. Then here in Arkansas, it's pretty much what people are doing.
Absolutely, and we've never really done it before. I mean, pass shot them, but then, I got with you and got one of your spec calls, which I never had a clue how to blow it. Just watched a few videos and kind of learned how to do it. And then we started off with a couple dozen full bodies and ended up getting some silhouettes, and we ended up shooting quite a few. So it ended up being pretty fun. So I love shooting ducks, but shooting specs feet down was pretty fun as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. The way they respond to calls is so much fun.
Absolutely.
That's probably something fairly new to us here in Arkansas. When I was a kid, of course that's back in the dark ages. We just didn't see them. You did not see specks
right.
at all. If you did, it was what is that?
Right.
It was just kind of a rare occurrence. And now we've just got great numbers of specks here in Arkansas, and that's really in some ways saved duck season for us and for a lot of people.
Absolutely. I had the conversation with Dusty a couple weeks ago, or back during duck season too, that, seems like the duck migration might keep shifting, further to the west to Oklahoma, Kansas, whatever, and not as many mallards or big ducks are going to be making it to Arkansas, but it seems like more specks are that, maybe spec hunting's the new mallard hunting in Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
You never know what's going to happen with the migration, and I'm sure a lot of that's got to do with the weather and everything like that. But in my opinion, it was just as fun as shooting mallards. So
we're seeing a lot of that the hunting getting better west of us, like you said. Oklahoma, Kansas, they seem to be doing very well. You ever travel or you thought about traveling to hunt?
I do sometimes. Bucket list is probably, obviously chasing migration from Saskatchewan or Alberta on down. I've been to Kansas, just around El Dorado, Kansas on a guided hunt. Me and my brother took my dad for his 60th birthday just to do kind of some dry field hunting, and we shot some lesser geese over some cattle ponds and did some dry field duck hunting. It wasn't as exciting as I thought it was going to be, but I think maybe getting up into the Dakotas or Canada or something maybe a little bit better. But yeah, I would definitely love to. I've heard a lot of good things about Oklahoma, and I believe they have a 5 mallard limit over there. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's right. So yeah, me and some of my buddies have talked about going over there and trying to do some stuff, but just haven't quite done it yet. And everybody's having babies now, so that's kind of slowing down. But I'm sure we'll figure it out one of these days.
It's amazing how life gets in the way of hunting from time to time.
Go figure.
Yeah, I've been there, done that. Still doing that, actually. So anything else that you enjoy hunting? You chase waterfowl? You deer hunter, anything like that?
I really don't. My dad grew up in North Louisiana, a town called Ringgold, which is just a little bit, I guess, southeast of Shreveport, not too far from Minden, if people know where that is. And it was all pastures and pine trees up there, and that's pretty much all they did was deer hunting. He never really got into deer hunting, and then he moved up here to go to college, and then he's what got me into duck hunting. Some of his buddies got him to go. So I've probably killed 5 deer in my whole life. It doesn't excite me like waterfowl does. And I've been turkey hunting a few times, which I hear if I keep doing that, it'll be as addicting as waterfowl hunting. But I guess we'll see. But right now, I mean, my job that I have now is sales manager for Edge Duck Boats was because of my love for waterfowl hunting. So, I, love it more than anything else.
Yeah, well, that's one of the questions I wanted to ask you. How'd you get in the boat business?
I mean, like I said, just growing up hunting, living in Central Arkansas, close to the Arkansas River, you're within 2 hours of pretty much most any big WMA. So, and you can hunt, obviously duck without boats, but it helps to have a boat. So I think the first boat I ever got was like a 88 riveted Duracraft I bought, had to have it welded up. I think it was like an 88 or 89 Mercury 25 electric start, fixed it up, had the holes welded, painted it through a net gear paint job on there, had the motor, tuned up, hunted with it a season. And then I had some guy offer me some money for it, and I was like, man, I can make some money off this. I was like, sure, why not? So I sold it. So then I got another boat. I think it was like an Express, did the same thing, kind of painted it and sold it, and kind of flipped a few boats and had enough saved up so I could go. And I think it was about 2012 at the time when Edge had just come out. And so I got and bought one of those, and that's how I met Tom Cox, the owner at Waco and Edge. And we kind of hit it off talking about boats or whatever. And then he reached out to me a few years later and asked me if, I'd like to come work for him. And honestly, it was like a kind of a dream job for me. Like I get to be around one of my passions day in and day out. So it was just kind of a perfect fit. But yeah, just a love of boats, and I guess flipping boats is how I started and got to where I am today with Edge. So.
Mm-hmm. Now, you guys, like you said, excuse me, you mentioned earlier that you have Edge Duck boats, then you also are in the pontoons.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a Aloha pontoons, correct?
Yep.
Man, I saw a video, I think it was just yesterday. I think I'd seen it before, where it was on Facebook, and I don't know, I didn't fact check it. I don't know if this was accurate or not, but it showed a video of a guy, and it said world record speed on a pontoon, and I think it was showing, the video said it was 115 miles an hour.
Right.
Is that still?
Probably. We make, we don't have anything that does that. We make a 32-foot twin engine boat, and we've got models out there that have twin Mercury 350s, and we've even got some that have twin Yamaha 425s. So you're talking 850 horsepower. Well, it sounds like a lot, but on the back of a 32-foot boat, it'll do low 60s.
Still moving up.
That's moving on a 32-foot barge. You talk about our duck boats being able to lift the bow. We've got pictures of our pontoons doing the same thing with that much horsepower on the back. And our pontoons are also like performance pontoons as well. You think about how our Edge duck boats handle. Our pontoons are able to turn like that as well. It's pretty impressive for being such a big boat like that.
It's amazing the progress. Like, when I was a kid on a pontoon, it's like, okay, it's nice, we get to go to the lake, but no big deal. You're just out there floating on this thing. It was just not that exciting or nothing that glamorous about it. But a couple of years ago, I went up. You guys had some type of event out on Arkansas River, and you had some of the pontoons out there. Man, those things are incredible. I mean, it is a luxury item. You get on these things now, it's just amazing what all the bells and whistles and like you're talking about the handling capabilities, everything. I mean, this is not Grandpa's pontoon you guys are making.
Not at all, and that's kind of what Tom Cox, like our family. It's a family-owned business, been there since 1960. So he's there every day, very hands-on. Has a lot to do with the design of all the boats. So that's what he kind of wanted to break the mold on these pontoons, which I believe we kind of changed the design, and I believe it was 2016, 15, somewhere in there. So we went from the traditional square round tube rails with the just the sheet metal side panels to 2-inch Schedule 40 aluminum piping as the rails and 3/8-inch acrylic side panels. So there's nothing on the water that looks like the Aloha pontoon out there. It did break the mold, and we hear that all the time. Like, there's nothing on the water. We want to buy your boat because it doesn't look like the rest of the pontoons out there. And we're also doing like everything in-house underneath the roof of Waco, with the exception of like our fiberglass consoles, but we do have our own upholstery department. So we're making our own upholstery from the boats, and the bases of them are made out of aluminum. So we were able to shed some weight there to offset the weight of the heavier panels and railing, making the boat, sturdy. That's what Aloha is known for, is the sturdiness of the boat and the way they ride and everything. So, but yeah, if you take a look at our boats, there's nothing on the water that looks like it, and it truly is a performance, tri-tune pontoon.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Tom, how many kids does Tom have?
He has 3. He has 2 daughters and a son.
Okay. Now, I guess his oldest daughter that's a singer.
Not as old as his middle.
His middle daughter. Okay.
Youngest daughter, middle child.
Okay. What is her name?
Charlotte.
Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
She is incredible. I've heard her singing. I mean, and this is not like, okay, she just as a little hobby, she's a good singer. She does something here and there. I mean, she's chasing a dream, and it looks like she's about to catch it from what I can tell.
Yep, she's in Nashville recording. I think she records a few songs at Zach Brown's Southern Ground studio. But she's releasing, I think, songs now on Spotify. I think she's doing about one a month, and she's gaining a lot of traction that way. Charlotte Lee is her name on Spotify and Apple Music and things like that. But no, she's awesome. She really is, and she's performed at a few of our boating events and stuff like that. And I mean, people are blown away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's something. I've heard her sing, seen her perform, and she's amazing. I think everyone will know her name before it's all said and done.
Right.
Now, see, Tom also has his son played. Is he still playing college football?
No, so he went. He was the quarterback from North Little Rock High School, and then went the JUCO route and played for two different colleges in Southern California, JUCO colleges, and then had a few concussions in a row, and just decided to stop playing and wanted to pursue his dream of coaching. So he knew some people, and now he's the student wide receiver coach up in Fayetteville for the Razorbacks. So he works under the wide receiver coach Justin Stepp, and is a student wide receiver coach.
Oh wow, yeah, that's great. That's great. So comes to football, and you got a little bit of a football history here. Where'd you play your high school ball?
Pulaski Oak Grove.
And who was the most well-known guy you played with?
Besides myself, it would have been, I guess, Darren McFadden.
Darren McFadden, yeah. So anybody from Arkansas, we say Darren McFadden. That's he's a hallowed figure here in Arkansas. So any of you guys that from out of state, if you'll remember, Darren McFadden was the runner-up for the Heisman Trophy
2 years.
2 years in a row, and then those same years, I think he won the Doak Walker Award, which was the best running back in the country.
Correct.
Just an awesome guy, and I really thought he should have won the Heisman at least one of those years. Of course, I know I'm biased, being a Razorback fan. I really thought that he should have won the Heisman at least one time. I mean, the guy was just absolutely incredible. So, what position were you on the team when you were playing with Darren?
Offensive line. I've actually gone to school with him since I guess elementary school, and then played junior high and high school. I'm a year older than he is, so my senior year, his junior year, I guess, is when he rushed for 2,400 yards or something like that. And me and four of my buddies, we were all seniors on the offensive line. I started out at left tackle, moved to right guard, then moved to center, and then in any shotgun situation, I was the center because I could snap the ball, shotgun style. And I guess we kind of invented the Wildcat in high school. Not really, but we would go shotgun formation. If nobody was open, Darren would just take off running down the field, and that usually worked. And we knew he was something to see in high school, but even at the time, if you had told me that he would do what he did at Arkansas, I wouldn't have believed you. I mean, we knew, like I said, he was talented. We played in the 5-3A, which is probably a pretty small conference in Arkansas high school football, and he was, doing things to high school kids that the same thing he was doing to SEC defenders in Fayetteville. But it definitely translated to the collegiate level. He was something else, and people that know him, he's as down there as he can be. He's as goofy as he can be. He's just a super good guy. He's actually a lot of us that stay in contact with him. We've flown out to Oakland and seen some games, and gone to Dallas and seen some games, and got to hang out with him a little bit. So, except he's still just as cool and as down there as he's ever been.
That's great. Stay in touch with him.
Yep.
Yeah, that's I tell you, man, he just, of course, we're gonna have to relish in that too, because that was the glory days of the Razorbacks, man. It's been pretty rough the last
Seems
couple
like a
of years.
long time ago. My goodness.
Well, man, edge boats. That's what I've used for the last few years, and I get a lot of anytime I'm around, I'm putting gas in it, I'm stopping at the convenience store. People come up, they want to look at the boat,
right.
And they're asking me questions about it. One of the first things I tell them is you just need to drive one. It's
right.
Because I grew up hunting, and it's kind of like you. I've used all types of boats. I've had some pretty good boats in my time, and I've also had some where we're just lucky to float when we were out there. Depending on where we were and what we were using, how old I was at the time. But what I tell people is, it's like when you get in this edge, and I'm not just pumping this up because you're my guest. I mean, this is legit. It's like if you're comparing driving a pickup truck to a sports car. I mean, when you're with the handling on it is amazing, and when you turn that boat, I don't know if grab the water is a real phrase or not, but Just like you can feel your tires grabbing when you're handling a car, it feels like that whenever you turn that boat. The handling on them is just incredible.
Yeah, you
and
hear
I know
people say they feel like it's on rails when
exactly.
It's turning. Yeah.
That's it. That's a great way to describe it because that is what it feels like.
Right.
And I know the speed. In the state of Arkansas, it seems like boat racing got to be such a big thing. I think the Game and Fish, they're putting a lot of they're tightening the screws on some of that now, where there's not as much as there used to be, but that really got to be a big thing. And guys, there are a lot of guys, I think they loved the boat race in the morning to the hole more than they did the hunt once they got there. That was what they lived for. And you would see edge boats were very, very popular with those guys that are really into that. And I know they have competitions. I don't know if they're still having the duck boat races, around from time to time. It seemed like Edge was always winning.
I think they still are. I think there's a lot of the South Louisiana and even South Carolina. I think they have drag clubs, which they make them some of those strip boats as well. But there's guys racing, edges against, wooden strip boats and performing well. So it's definitely a performance hull for sure.
Mm-hmm. All right. So educate me. I don't know what makes you talk about the performance hull. What is it that makes these boats so good? What gives them this, not without giving out trade secrets or something, but what makes it work here?
It's just the way it's built from front to back. It starts with the longitudinal bracing in the bottom. I know there's a lot of people out there that are doing longitudinal bracing, but it seems like the older hunting boats throughout the years were horizontally braced, and if you would hit stuff, in Arkansas, run over stumps, cypress knees, whatever, you get that kind of washboard effect in the bottom of your boat, which would affect performance. So what we've done is run the bracing longitudinally through the boat, so you're not getting that washboard effect to help, and that's what, like I said, with the sturdiness and all that of the boat. And then the bottom of it, it's an 8-degree semi-V hull, so it's not a true flat, but it's not like a V hull, so it definitely helps rougher water situations, even though for being the timber and things like that. It definitely helps in big water as well. And then our chine is kind of a reverse turn down chine on the outer edges of the boat. I know some people make rounded chines or squared chines, but our reverse chine allows it to draft a little shallower, and that's what helps it grab in the turns, like we talked about, and feel like you're riding on rails. So there's not a better performing. There may be faster, there may be boats that you can tank off of trees that are plate boats or whatever, but as a better all-around performance boat, you're not going to find a better boat.
Mm-hmm. So what if a guy out here, man, I'm in the market. I'm looking I want a good duck boat. And you guys got a lot of different models of different things that you offer. So what would be the best way for me to figure out what would be the best model, the best boat to select?
I get this question probably 5 times a week. So you just need to figure out where you're going to be using it, how you're going to be using it. If you're in Arkansas and you hunt, WMAs that are 25 horsepower restricted, like WMA or Rainy Break or somewhere like that, and you need a 25 horsepower motor, you may want to go with a boat that's more suitable for that. You can stick a 25 horsepower motor on a bigger 1756 boat. You're just not going to go as fast. So just kind of where you're going to be using it. Are you going to be fishing out of it as well? A lot of guys want longer 16, 17-foot boats for fishing as well as hunting. And when you hear 16, 17, 56, that sounds like a big boat, and it is 56-inch bottom, but the way that our sidewalls are built is they're more straight up and down than they are flared out. So our beam width on a 56-inch boat is still only about 67 inches at the top, which is comparable to a 1548 War Eagle, which people have been running through the woods for years. So the same beam width on like a 1548 War Eagle is the same on our 56-inch bottom edge, which is the widest we make in a tiller boat. So you're getting more floor space, but you're not sacrificing anything up top. And that's all. I used to run a 553, 15 feet long, 53-inch bottom. I've since ran 1656, a 16 feet long, 56-inch bottom. And I've never been in a 56-inch bottom boat and thought, man, I wish I had one that was narrower, because I've never been stuck in a situation. Now, our most popular selling size is that 1553. It's kind of the best of both worlds. You kind of get a little bit more width, a little bit. Our 1553s are technically 15 and a half feet long, so that's why you kind of get the best of both worlds there. And it is the most popular size. But it's just all about practicality. Where are you going to be using it? Are you the decoy hauler? Or are you the hull runner? Like me, I'm the decoy hauler. So I'm going to be running this year a 1656 with the open front. It's got the deck that comes completely out. I'm going to throw all my decoys and stuff in there. It's usually me, a buddy of mine, a dog, and anywhere from 2 to 6 dozen decoys. Just depends on where we're hunting. So you need to think. That's why I try to get people to how are you going to be practically using this boat? And that's you kind of go from there. If you don't haul a whole bunch of people and you are the hull runner, maybe you want a 1550, something small, completely wide open, low deck, mid deck, no gun box, no gun tray, nothing in there. But me, I run a gun box on the port side, and then a gun tray on the starboard side. And the gun tray comes in handy. I mean, even if you're out of the boat setting jerk strings, shells, your gun, if you're out picking up decoys or looking for cripples or whatever, it just comes in handy as like a shelf. So, I mean, and you can customize our boat. I mean, you can make them as cheap or as expensive as you want to. It's just like anything else, different camos, different decks, different lids, gun box, gun tray, I mean, all different kinds of light packages. It's, I mean, there's so many things that you can do, but basically just decide where you want to use it and how you want to use it. And then that'll pretty much kind of tell you what size you want to go with, and then, you know, what motor you want to pair it with. There's a number of different, I mean, it's almost like an algorithm, not really, but of way to pick a boat.
Mm-hmm. One of the big things for me, one of the things I love about my boat the most, something that you don't really think about too much when you're in the shopping phase, but man, the lights, is the lighting package that you guys put on the one that we're using is it's just perfect for us. I mean, we got a great light on the front. I mean, you turn that light on and it's not nighttime anymore. It's daylight. And then we got lights in the back. And I love that when I'm backing that boat up, I can look behind me. Mm-hmm. We're throwing out decoys. I can see behind me. I can see the decoys I've already thrown out. You know, everywhere around. You know, we have interior lights that come on inside the boat. So taking the decoys out of the bag. A lot of times we're throwing out decoys out in deep water. I love river hunting. Right. And so, you know, you're fighting the current, throwing out your decoys, and it's easy. It's a tough task sometimes. If you don't have good light, you struggle to get your setup right, get everything the way that you want it, and just having that lighting package, that just makes all the difference in the world, you know. Yeah,
LED lights have come a long way in the past, 5 to 10 years, however long, you know, they've been using them on duck boats. I mean, I remember the Q-beam days, just, you know, strapped to your battery in the back, but and I mean, like you said, you've got our 3-light bar on the front of your boat, which shines, you know, out directly, and then side to side, it's almost about 180 degree complete, you know, view of light. And then you've got the recessed lights back into the boat that you can see whether you're backing down the ramp and you need to see, you know, where you're going backing up the ramp, or like you said, throwing out decoys, even if you're fishing, running trot lines, yo-yos, anything like that, it comes in handy. And then the interior lights on the inside, if you're, you know, looking for your shotgun or your decoys, or you dropped your phone or whatever and you can't see, you just flick a switch and it lights up as bright as it can be. So lights have really come a long way, and there's some guys that don't want them, and there's some guys that want the whole package like you got. I mean, it just depends on, you know, like I said, what you're using it for and everything. It's just awesome to have those options.
I remember some of the first duck hunts I ever went on as a kid. Man, we were using flashlights. I'm talking about like D-cell batteries and a little flashlight, and we're out there trying to get up and down Cache River. Yep. And that's where actually I think I learned most of the 4-letter words that I know now. We learned that crashing through the brush and hitting stumps and hitting trees and all that. So it's really nice when we're out there. You know, we're out there using these nice lights now. We're pretty spoiled right now.
Or you think you've got the decoys where you want them, and then daylight hits and it doesn't look anything like you thought it did. Yeah.
Yeah, or it's like, okay, where were we standing? Where were we supposed to stand?
Exactly.
What about, you know, I kind of know what, here in Arkansas, you know, so much flooded timber hunting, like you said, that's what we're known for. That's why people want to come here. So I know what to look for in a boat there. What about guys in other areas? Do you see other trends, different boats that are working? I guess you can, I know it's all specific to exactly where the guy's hunting, but for the guys that are in the northern states or out west, do you see them wanting different styles, or how does that work?
Yeah, more so probably like coastal, like South Louisiana. A lot of those guys are doubling fishing and hunting, so they like 16, 17-foot boats with, you know, high decks for fishing, for casting, a lot of maybe, you know, sight fishing for redfish or something like that if they're down around the coast. And the state of Louisiana has a law where if your boat is under 16 feet, you have to be wearing your life jacket. But if it's 16 feet or over, you don't. So we sell a lot of 16-foot and over boats to the state of Louisiana. So we see that. And then, we'll sell a lot of mud boats and things and like that to the coastal boats, guys that are running, you know, some of the cattails and the true mud flats. And then we also, which a lot of people may not know, we sell center console boats as well. We make anything as small as a 1656 up to a 1963. We've sold a lot of those on the coast, South Carolina, North Carolina, Louisiana, South Mississippi, places like that. But, we do it all. Like, we're known for our timber boats here in Arkansas, but, we definitely see, different niches for different areas of the country of guys that, you know, want specific type of boats for their specific needs. So we definitely do see that, and our boats do cater to that for sure.
Yeah, I didn't know you had center consoles. I know you guys made that. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, we make some smaller ones, just some 16-footers. We've made a 1656, 1756, 1856, but then we've also made some 18 and 1963s that are really decked out. We've made some that, you know, power poles, the whole show, casting platform, sightseeing, sight fishing platform. So yeah, we can do it all.
Mm-hmm. What about wall thickness? Is that something?
On the boats?
Yeah.
So most of our hulls that are standard 90 gauge, and then you can upgrade to 100 or 125. Now our bigger boats are all standard in 100, but a lot of the smaller tiller handle boats, they come standard in 90, which I've ran a 90 gauge boat for years, never had any issues. I mean, it all depends on how you treat it. I mean, you're going to go tank it off some trees, regardless of the thickness of the metal, you're going to have some dents. A lot of guys want 100 gauge just for peace of mind, and then 125, then, by all means, go for it. So, I mean, just like I said, comes down to where and how you're going to be using it.
So what's new? What's around the corner? What's new, or what's new for 2020?
I think our model year starts over either July 1 or August 1. I can't remember. Nothing crazy. We released, I guess, mid last year. Our 2020 models came out with higher sides. We looked at our boats, and our sidewalls were only about 19 inches high. And if you were sitting on the back bench of any of our boats and you were in a chair and your butt was above the rail, so it became a safety thing. A drier ride thing. A lot of our customers asked for it, and a lot of dealers were asking for it. So we went from a 19-inch sidewall to a 24-inch sidewall. And our side profile's got a little bit of a curvature to it now because our boats ride so well with the bow raised that little curvature keeps the nose down a little bit, allows you to see over the nose of the boat better. But it's definitely got a completely different look than our old boats. I absolutely love it. Obviously, I'm biased. We've had nothing but good reviews from it so far. Like I said, it's a safer ride. It's a drier ride. You actually feel like you're down in the boat now. And it just has it's just an awesome look. You put one side by side next to a 2018 or 2019 model, it looks like a completely different boat. But I mean, it still rides the exact same. There's a lot of guys that are kind of iffy about the 2020 models going forward because they think they may not ride the same. They ride the exact same. We've got photos and videos to prove it. So I mean, there's nothing sacrificed in the performance of the ride by making these sidewalls 24 inches. It's like I said, it's nothing but good things.
Mm-hmm. Is the sidewall more vertical than it was, or
no? It's the same. It's
same
still the same.
shape.
Yeah, and our boats are the narrowest beam boat on the market for timber hunting. So that's definitely a factor for us. I know there's a bunch of other timber boats out there, but ours are the narrowest beam per size. So for guys that do, cut through the cypress trees and the oak trees and the flooded timber, it definitely helps for sure.
Yeah, definitely want to be as thin as possible. It's hard to get that thick timber. It's hard to operate a boat, even hiding a boat. Sometimes you're dragging it around. And you're trying to find that best path to get through.
And I know it's unavoidable with hitting things, which is we make the brush whacker bar on the front, which your boat has, that you can hit tank off of trees and use it to pull things. It's the 2-inch Schedule 40 pipe that we're using on the rails for our pontoons. Same thing on the front. I've actually recently got a message from a guy who he lost his boat in the Jonesboro tornado. It got thrown, I think he said 1,000 yards from his house, and sent me pictures, and the boat was pretty messed up itself, but that brush whacker didn't have a single dent in it at all. It was pretty
like
insane.
A tank in the front.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's you're like you said, there's no way around it. You're gonna ding that boat, and that handle in the front. I love that. I also like the step in the back,
our diamond
back.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what we've been running. And man, when you're in that flooded timber, having that step, man, that is unbelievable.
Especially if you're a bigger guy like me, getting in and out of it helps. My dog loves it, using it as a step to get in and out of the boat. Some guys don't prefer it, some guys do. It doesn't change the route of the boat at all. And some people call them float pods on the back. They're not float pods. It's just the transom's just cut down more at an angle to allow you to have that step on either end. So it's nothing has changed in the whole design itself. It's just basically a rear step option, honestly.
Yeah, for this big guy, that's been the difference between getting back in the boat and having to drag it to a shallower place.
Exactly.
On many occasions.
So, both.
Yeah. So, well, man, you said something earlier about about a bucket list. You wanted to go from Canada on down. What's on the official bucket list? You got more than one item? Is that it? What's something that you'd love to do?
Talking about duck hunting or just bucket list in general?
Well, we'll start with duck hunting.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to start up in Saskatchewan or Alberta up there. I mean, I think that you can shoot 8 ducks and sometimes up to 10 geese up there or something.
Yeah.
I mean, I've dry field hunted a few times, but then obviously I know a lot of guys' bucket list are to hunt flooded timber in Arkansas, which we get to do because we live here. But I like doing dry field hunting, whether it's geese or ducks. And then I've seen that up in one of these days when I retire. Maybe I'll do it from Canada down to the Dakotas and Kansas, and then chase the whole migration maybe down to the to the Texas coast or something like that. My dad, he used to work offshore on some oil rigs, so he got to go on some hunts off of the coast, like Corpus Christi Bay for redheads and pintails and stuff like that. So I've never got to do that, but heard him talk about it. It sounds like a blast as well. So, I mean, I'm not particular. I mean, I love timber hunting in Arkansas, obviously, and I've done it my whole life. But I mean, I also like hunting, sandbars on the river or CRP fields. It doesn't matter to me. I just like to hunt.
I did some hunting down there around Rockport, right there next to Corpus Christi. Yeah. A good friend of mine, Paul Brown, if he's listening, took me down there. We actually the season was out. We were in a split in Arkansas, but it was still in there in Texas, and he did a lot of fishing. He was a fishing guide down there, a lot of speckled trout and redfish and things like that. So he took me out there, and it was a lot of fun. And we went out there and duck hunted. And one of the things that stood out to me were two things. Number one, I love pintails. Pintails are my favorite bird out there.
I agree.
And if you go out there and hunt pintails, we're in some of those saltwater flats out there, and man, they act. It's like a different bird than the one that we're chasing in Arkansas. I mean, we were out there. We actually had found little island areas out there. We put some layout blinds on it, and then just watch those birds, and then hit them with a pintail whistle. And it was amazing to watch how they would actually come to you. It was almost like you're calling them. Yeah, just totally different. Here in Arkansas, you have to. They're skittish, a lot of times, if you're out in the field, their first pass may be the closest. You better take them when you get the good chance.
I don't know how many times I've said one more pass on a group of pintails, and it never happened.
And you never got that one more pass. Yeah, if they don't have mallards mixed in, something to help lure them to you, they're tough. Out there, man, it was just a totally different story. We're laying the layout blinds, and you're just picking out the one that you want to shoot. You still, I think at the time your limit might have been one pintail or something that morning, but you're sitting there and you're watching all these things hovering above you, and you're trying to pick out that longest sprig, trying to pick your trophy. But that was that was some fun hunting. The other thing that I learned on that hunt was I used to always see in the catalogs waders that had basically didn't have a boot on it. You had the wader, and you had to put your shoe in there and tie off your shoe, your boot, whatever you were attaching to it. And I said, man, who would want to use that in Arkansas? We wouldn't want something like that. I understood perfectly what it was after I was out there walking in that stuff, and it was this mud. I don't know what you would call it out there. You're walking in the salt water, and you would just sink way down, and then you have to pull your foot out. And I found myself trying to hold on to my boot. With every step, I'm pulling my foot out of my boot, and I'm holding on with my toes, gripping with my toes as good. And I caught some hellacious toe cramps while I was going out there, and I would have paid a fortune for some of those waders at that point. It was
you tie your boots on.
Yeah, tie the boots on. That way it's snug where you can trudge through some of that stuff. But that was a painful experience. It just times I just wanted to stop and just cry, just weep. When you can see where you got to go, and you're barely moving, and you got severe toe cramps on both sides.
Been there
for a baby like me. That's pretty tough.
Right.
All right, man. Tell me about the best hunt you ever been on. I want to hear that story.
Whenever I hear that, the first thing that comes to mind is I think it was 2011 opening morning, rainy break. There was a group of us, and a couple of our buddies had gone and scouted. We did not have high hopes. We had a camp, obviously, in Augusta up at Taylor Bay, which is still a good ways from Rainy Break. But we left camp, I guess, around midnight, got to the ditch, and this was before people were really camping in ditches. We got to there in probably 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and we were, I think, the third and fourth boat. And anyway, got there, got to the hole that we wanted to get. Our guys had scouted. Like I said, we didn't have high hopes. I mean, they had seen some birds, but just nothing too crazy. But we proceeded to shoot, I guess, 11 limits in about an hour. And it was just in your face. I mean, as soon as you could pick them up, they were coming right back in. Leaves still on the trees, just an old blowdown hole that. And then we went back the next day and shot one. Mm-hmm. So I mean, but yeah, when I hear best hunt, as far as just the first thing that comes to mind is that. Now, killing my first duck was obviously memorable, and I grew up, like I said, with my dad hunting on the Arkansas River, and my first duck I ever shot was a blue-winged teal during teal season with a New England Firearms single shot 12 gauge that absolutely kicks like a mule. But the first duck I ever shot was a blue-winged teal, and that was pretty awesome.
Were you teal hunting in September, or did you just?
It was during teal season, September, on a sandbar, probably wearing shorts and sandals because it was probably 85 degrees.
I've never gotten into the teal hunt too much just because of the weather at that time. You know,
Right.
It just doesn't feel like duck hunting. It's a lot of fun.
No,
but
to this day, I'll still wear shorts and sandals out there. You can catch them sometimes. It's just a hit or miss. Seems like where we usually go. They're either here one day and gone the next, and it's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just one of the you don't think about you're getting your hunting equipment together in duck hunting. You don't think about off mosquito repellent as being necessary, but it often is during teal season.
And then most times not ends up turning into a dog working trip than anything. you can usually tell by about 8 o'clock if it's going to be worth it or not. So
yeah, and you got to watch for cottonmouths and other
Exactly.
things while you're out there. That's always another thing. There's a little bit of a deterrent at that time of year. So. Man, that's awesome. Man, listen, I really appreciate you stopping by here. So someone is looking for an edge boat, they want to check one out. What's the best way to go about it? I know you got dealers.
Right. We got dealers
all over the place.
All over pretty much the southern United States. But, man, if you can't find a local dealer, give us a shout on our office phone. It's 501-753-2866. Or you can message us on Facebook or Instagram, Edge Duck Boats there. Or our website, edgeduckboats.com, and we can get you pointed in the right direction from a dealer. We've got an awesome dealer network. You shouldn't be able to find one too far from you wherever you are in the south. Now, we don't have a whole lot north and to the west, but we've got dealers that ship boats all over. So there's, I've got dealers that have shipped boats to California, Washington State, and they're, no stranger to that. We've got boats all over the country. So if you got questions about anything, give us a shout. Like I said, it all just depends on how you're planning to use it, where you're planning to use it, and like I said, you can make it as cheap or as expensive as you want to. It just depends on, we've got something that can fit your needs for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've got something for everybody. Good deal, man. Well, listen, we got a little bit of a tradition here. We play a little quick game of war here. At least we play one hand, and I've done pretty well, but here I've lost a couple here. And for some reason, I get accused of cheating all the time, especially only when I win. And I always tell everybody, we're only playing for money if I win. But just to make sure I'm not cheating, I want you to cut those for me. All right, so yours first. 10 of hearts. That's pretty good. That's pretty solid. What am I getting? Wow. Mm-hmm. Take me. Mm-hmm. Look, you cut them. I'm getting the you cheated in right there. Ace of clubs,
How
man.
about that?
Well, I'm back on. I'll start to schedule. I feel good about it. Start to schedule a trip to Vegas, and then I get beat. Like the other day, a guy beat me. I think he did. We gave him a 4, and I drew the deuce. So
wow,
that's when I canceled my flight.
That's just bad.
Maybe we'll put it back on. So,
right.
Hunter, man, thanks so much for making the trip down here.
Absolutely,
appreciate it. Like I said, man, I recommend Edge Boats to anybody if you're in the market. Check them out, man. Thanks so much for coming down here.
Had a great
Enjoyed
time.
it, man.
Appreciate your support, Brad.